Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to paint these two Death Company Marines from the Blood Angels chapter. The first thing that I'm going to do is to cut some bits from this sprue and glue them to the base. And now that these bases look a little bit more interesting, I'm going to proceed to prime these miniatures. For that, I'm going to use Chaos Black from Citadel. Now that the miniatures are primed, we can proceed and start painting, and I'm going to start with this Space Marine because of course he looks super cool with that special weapon. After that, we're going to paint this one and we're going to use the exact same color scheme. It's just that this one is not wearing a helmet and that's why we're going to focus a little bit more on the head. The first color that I'm going to use is Abaddon Black. I'm going to apply a thin layer on the power armor because later I'm going to make mistakes, I would like to correct some highlights, and all of that is going to look much better if we have the exact same tone of black. And then I'm going to apply Dawnstone to everything that is going to be white. Obviously, the most difficult part to paint was the chest, because it's quite hidden, it's difficult to access with a brush, so of course I made a mess, but it doesn't matter because as I mentioned previously, later I'm going to correct all of that, so it doesn't matter. For now, we can continue painting the miniature, and I'm going to apply corn red to the weapon, the eyes, and also all the purity seals. Now I'm going to use Lead Belcher to paint all the metallic elements and the inside parts of the power armor. To paint the holster of the pistol and all the pouches, I'm going to use Morphan Brown. It is time to cover that grey color with white, and I'm going to start with Wraithbone that I'm going to use to paint the parchment of the purity seals and also all the bones. Then I'm going to use Corax White to paint the symbol on the chest and also this Blood Angel symbol right here. And to finish with the base colors, now I'm going to use Balthasar Gold to paint around this bloodstone and this bloodstone right here. At this stage, I also decided to correct some small mistakes, and now I would like to start applying the shades. For this specific miniature, I'm going to use two of them. I'm going to start applying Nuln Oil over the symbol on the chest, the symbol on the shoulder pad, the silver elements, and also the weapon. And then I'm going to use Agrax Earth Shade. I'm going to apply this shade to the gold elements, the bones, the paper of the purity seals, and also the brown elements. Finally, we can start applying some highlights, and I would like to start with the black power armor. For that, I'm going to use two different highlights. First, I'm going to apply Ancient Grey in every single edge of the power armor, and after that, I'm going to apply Dawnstone in the areas that are going to be the most exposed. Now I'm going to use Retributor Armor to highlight the gold color, and then I'm going to use Stormhost Silver to highlight the silver color. To highlight the red color, I'm going to use Evil Sun Scarlet, but for the weapon I would like to do something slightly different, and I'm going to treat it exactly in the same way that I treat my Blood Angels. First, I'm going to apply Mephiston Red to it. And to finish with the highlights, now I'm going to use Wraithbone again to highlight those bones that we have there and there in the weapon. And after that, I'm just going to use Crack Brown to highlight the brown color. To paint the bloodstones, and we have 6 of them on this miniature, I'm going to use mostly colors that I use already. I'm going to start from the darkest to the brightest, and I'm going to use Abaddon Black, Khorne Red, Evil Sun Scarlet, Wild Rider Red, and Corax White. The only new color here is Wild Rider Red. To start finishing the last details, now I'm going to use Abaddon Black again to add some writing to those purity seals. At this point we are just missing a beautiful red cross on this shoulder pad, and also I'm going to add one to this knee. For that I'm going to use the same red colors that I have been using during the whole video. Khorne Red, Mephiston Red, and Evil Sun Scarlet. And here we have an almost finished Blood Angels Death Company Marine. I just need to base this miniature, but I'm going to base both of them together. So now it's the time to paint this miniature, and as I said previously, I'm going to do the exact same color scheme. It's just that I'm not going to paint the head of this miniature, I will leave that for the end. Here we have another almost finished Death Company Marine from the Blood Angels. I just need to finish the head, and for that I'm going to start with these two colors. For the skin I'm going to use Corax White, and for the hair I'm going to use Averland Sunset. Now I'm going to apply Nuln Oil to the skin, and after that I'm going to apply Agrax Earthshade to the hair. Now I'm going to paint the eyes with Abaddon Black, and after that I'm going to apply a second layer of Agrax to the hair. And to finish with the head, now I'm going to apply a highlight to the skin of Flayed One Flesh and to the hair of Iriel Yellow. To finish these miniatures, we just need to base them properly, and for that I'm going to use Astro Granite. And to finish with the base, I'm just going to use Wraithbone. I'm going to paint the cobblestones, and then I'm going to dry brush all over the base. And this is it, this is the final result. This is how I painted my Blood Angels Death Company Marines. I like this one a lot specifically because this weapon is super cool. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that I got this Combat Patrol. I'm having a lot of fun painting these miniatures, so yes, I'm having fun with them. I knew that I wanted to invert the color scheme that I have been using for my Blood Angels. So the red power armor that I use for my Blood Angels is what I use for the red weapons of these Death Company Marines, and the black weapons of my Blood Angels is what I use for the power armor of this Marine. I have to say that this was a little bit more tricky than I expected. I thought that it was going to be easy, but first I was doing it from corner to corner, and no, it was very weird because of course, because of the shape of the shoulder pad, it was like very unnatural, let's say, so I had like to move it a little bit more to the inside part, and now it feels a little bit better. I'm happy. I think that the color scheme of the Death Company Marines is super cool. And here we have the other Death Company Marine that I painted, and I have to say a few things about this one. First of all, I thought about having the holster of the pistol and the pouches with this black color that I was using for the rest of my Blood Angels, but then I was like, no, it looks weird, it's not noticeable at all, it's like too boring, so I just went for brown, and I think that it looks good, so I cannot complain about that. And now we need to talk about that head without helmet, because I'm trying to improve that. I'm trying to not paint every Space Marine with helmet. Even if I prefer helmets, I want to be able to say at some point in the future, okay, I can paint Space Marine heads, it's just that I prefer helmets. But anyway, regarding this one, I wanted to make sure that it will be noticeable that this Space Marine is affected by the Black Rage. So I went for super pale skin and black eyes. I think that it looks good, especially for someone that is not used to paint human heads like me. It was quite easy and straightforward to do. I think that it looks okay, so I'm happy about that. And I'm looking forward actually to paint another Blood Angel Space Marine without helmet, so like that I will be able to compare and say, okay, it's clearly noticeable which one is a regular Blood Angel Space Marine and which one is affected by the Black Rage. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that at some point. Here we have both of them, and of course, as always, I would like to remind you that if you like what I do and you would like to support my work and help me to continue improving, I invite you to check the link to my Patreon in the description. And of course, I would like to know what you think about these two miniatures, so let me know in the comments what you think about my Death Company Marines. Anyway, these are my Death Company Marines. I hope that you enjoyed the painting process, and with all of that being said, this is the end of the video. So of course, as always, if you're still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.